Welcome to my all-new Wild Watches video. Today I will be talking about the movies I watched in the month of November 2018. I missed 2 months of talking about Wild Watches on my channel. That's not acceptable, so I'll try to make it up to you by having both November and December's video out today. I am sorry. Now let's get back on track. The first movie I watched in November 2018 was Queen Crab. Brett Piper is a name that is synonymous with a man who puts stop animation in his films. This is no exception. He made a movie about killer crabs, used stop animation to portray them, and it's awesome. It's a hokey B-movie, but it's still awesome. The second movie I watched was The Changeling. The more I thought about this movie after I had initially watched it, the more I loved it. It is a great ghost story with no jump scares. It relies on suspense, which is something movies nowadays should learn about. The third movie I watched was The Last Sharknado. It's about time. I thought this was a really fun send-off. I don't think it's quite up to tier with the best of the Sharknado movies, which even the best of the Sharknado movies are still terrible. I don't know. I'm kind of glad it's over, and I hope if they do reboot it, they take it in a serious direction, which would be cool. Remember that title, Dark Skies, you guys were going to go with? Maybe do that. Sharknado, Dark Skies. The fourth movie I watched was House. Now, House is a great horror comedy, but it's not as crazy as, say, something by Peter Jackson or Evil Dead 2, which was directed by Sam Raimi. This is more PG-13 level stuff, but it's an R-rated film, which is kind of weird. But I loved it regardless. I loved William Katt in the lead role, and everyone else did a great job. The fifth movie I watched was Triassic World. Now, if I remember correctly, I watched this with my father, and it was an entertaining movie. It's got a lot more practical gore than most Asylum films, as well as practical creature effects, so that was really cool. The story is quite contained, so that might turn some people off. I still enjoyed it. The sixth movie I watched was House 2, The Second Story. I loved it. I love it as much as the first one, actually, for many different reasons. The first one was a horror with comedy elements. The second one is a comedy with horror elements. And for that, it could have gone one of two ways. Piss poor humor, or being a fun time. Thankfully, it was a fun time. The seventh movie I watched was The Meg. I think this is when I bought the Blu-ray, and over time, it's not holding up as well as I hoped it would. I mean, don't get me wrong, the special effects and everything are great, but the lack of gore really, really, really hurts this movie. I don't care what you say. If you're going to make a movie about a killer megalodon that attacks the beach at the end, you need to have some blood, not pussy yourself out. Take notes from Piranha 3D, why don't you? Speaking of which, the eighth movie I watched was the original Piranha from 1978. This was a lot of fun. I've grown up watching this movie since I was 13. I love it. Every minute of it's an entertaining watch, and the piranha attacks are gruesome. The acting and humor are spot on. I just love it. The ninth movie I watched was House 3, The Horror Show. I kind of enjoyed it. It was a total dark comedy take on this series that has been more lighthearted. So I liked it for that, and I liked the killer. He could have been seemingly annoying to a lot of people, especially with that laugh. I thought it was a nice quirk. Freddy, he is not, obviously, but he's still enjoyable to watch. The 10th movie I watched was REC, which stands for Record. I love this entire Rex franchise. Quarantine sucked. Quarantine 2 was halfway decent. But all the Rec movies I love. The first one especially. The 11th movie I watched was Sasquatch, The Legend of Bigfoot. I've watched this movie so many times. Yet every time I kind of have to turn it off because I get so tired or I fall asleep. It's usually at nighttime when I watch it, and it's got that calm, soothing atmosphere and voice. But it's a great movie regardless. I really enjoy it. It's a great adventure and everything. The 12th movie I watched was Wreck 2. This was a great continuation. The ending is insanely grim and dark. The overall film is a lot bloodier than the first, and that helps. The 13th movie I watched was Wreck Genesis. A lot of people hate this movie, and I can see why. I'm just not one of them. This was a great attempt at trying to convert found footage to live footage, and a different take on the story, which they did kind of continue with both movies in the 4th installment, which was really cool. I just guess you can't please everybody. The 4th movie I watched was Zombi from 1979. This is from the Blue Underground release. The picture quality is amazing. The film itself is amazing. It's my favorite zombie movie, enough said. The 15th movie I watched was Django Unchained. I watched this with obscure media. We were just chilling, and we sat for like 3 hours watching this movie, and it's a great time. Great time. And last but not least, I didn't watch House 4 this month, or the month of November. I actually still haven't watched it, but I did watch Wreck 4 Apocalypse. Pinch me, I'm dreaming. I love all the Wreck movies, all 4 of them. This was a nice way to tie everything up, but there was also a nice way to leave room for a sequel, which never happened, which really pissed me off. Otherwise, it's a great movie. And those are it. Those are the 16 movies I watched in the month of November 2018. Thank you all for watching, and I am Brian Gatto, host of Horror Show Entertainment. Make sure to like my Twitter and Facebook fan pages in the description below, leave comments, and subscribe.